It has been estimated that since Kenya's independence in 1963, the forest cover has dropped from 10% to 6%, with the country losing approximately 12,000 hectares annually. In 1962, a year before the country gained independence, Kenya's population stood at 8.5 million people. Demand for land to settle in, farming, grazing and other land uses continue to increase, thus putting pressure on forest where much of it was cut down.
How many, because of that?
As it stands today, with the country's population being more than 50 million people, the country has seen a decline in forest cover. Degradation has been ongoing in all parts of the country for long. In an effort to save forest, Kenya Forest Service, through an act of parliament, Dr. Ben Kanyi, the director of Tree Biotechnology Trust, paints a picture of how the forests have been since independence.
At independence, the bigger players were the white settlers from Europe who came in at the beginning, and the best of our species, the ebonies, the mpingos, the mbabakofis, the mvules, the camphors in Mount Kenya. And one of the conduits of exploitation of forests was the railway. And a lot of wood was used, moved by the constructed railway line running from Mombasa into the hinterland.
The former Forest Department was supported almost entirely from forest revenues and, as a result, extremely underfunded. Things changed under the 2005 Forest Act, allowing for creation of special funds such as Water Towers Conservation Fund, a portion of which goes to forest rehabilitation, and the Mau Rehabilitation Trust Fund for the Mau Forest. As of 2003, Kenya had at least 1.57 million hectares of gazetted forest.
The local communities used to protect the forests, and they valued forests. Some of them were shrines, like in the coast, the Kaya forest were beautiful shrines. But these fellows didn't respect those, some of those shrines, and it was not part of their belief.
However, in the recent times, efforts to restore Kenya's forest cover and tree cover have been initiated. Between 2004 and 2006, more than 100,000 people were evicted from one of the country's largest water tower, Mau Forest. Amnesty International decried of human rights abuses during the evictions. Between 2018 and 2020, more than 50,000 people were evicted from Masai Mau Forest to save the water tower. Fencing of the Mau Water Tower has been taking place. In 2018, due to massive deforestation across the country, the government imposed a ban on logging. The ban was effected after K24 TV, in a long detailed feature, revealed how Aberdare and Mount Kenya Forest were being degraded.
1988, Kenya was the first African country to host the UN Renewable Energy Conference, and that resulted to what we were calling improved cookstoves, so that they are more efficient in conversion of wood into energy. So all those efforts were to try and contain the exploitation of forests and the diminishing land area of the forestry.
In July this year, President William Ruto lifted the ban on logging. However, the Environment and Land Court ruled that the lifting of the ban was null and void due to lack of public participation. The current administration is, however, determined to increase Kenya's forest cover to 30% by planting 15 billion trees across the nation by the year 2032. But as these efforts continue, high levels of deforestation have impacted Kenyans as they rely on forests for the storage of rainwater, the prevention of flooding, the fertility of the soil, and the regulation of climate conditions. Floods that have been witnessed across the country with devastating impacts on livelihoods is a clear testimony of Mother Nature's wrath against environmental degradation. According to WWF, when deforestation occurs, Much of carbon stored by trees is released back into the atmosphere as carbon dioxide, which contributes to climate change. Trees absorb and store carbon dioxide. If forests are cleared or even disturbed, they release carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases. Forest loss and damage is the cause of around 10% of global warming. Up to 15 billion trees are now being cut down every year across the world. Kenya's tree cover now stands at 12.3%, while forest cover is at 8.83%, up from 5.9% in 2018, according to the National Forest Resources Assessment (NAFRA) report of 2021. Forest cover is unevenly distributed across the country, with the central region, parts of western and the coast region being the most forested part of the country. This means that Kenya has attained and exceeded the constitutional threshold of having 10% tree cover as obligated in Article 69, Section 1A. But with the current devastating weather patterns, including drought, floods, and unpredictable weather, the country is not yet out of the woods.
We must make sure we utilize wood.
Dan Kaburu, K24, Nairobi.